Alright, can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
I'll update the game too in the title.
Alright, talk just a little bit more, please.
How's this?
Perfect. Alright, we'll just get started and I'll finish cropping out the rest during the intro, I guess. So, yeah, if you're ready, just give me a countdown and let's go.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, this is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And I'm going to be doing a lot of comparisons between the Japanese and English versions of this game, because they are very, very different from each other. But they were released within 4 days of each other, so it makes it even weirder that they're so different. But the thing, at least, that matters the most as far as which version I run, the English version's faster, but the Japanese version's marathon safe. Kind of convenient since it's the JRTA marathon, but that's just how it is. And I'll go into that more as the run goes on. There's a lot of fun stuff that happens in the last half hour. So, one minor difference to start off is that the Japanese version tends to have more on-screen icons as far as inputs go. You saw the D-pad show up there, and on the level up screen it'll have a up and down D-pad to show that you can pick different level of bonuses. I've had a number of people tell me that they didn't know that they could upgrade anything except for HP when they played through it the first time. So they corrected that in the Japanese version. Another interesting thing to note is that the Japanese version, as far as I know, actually has more text boxes. And text scrolls as fast as you hit the button. So the English version saves time on text, which is like never happens in speedruns. Also, an interesting thing to note about this fight here, regardless of how much damage you do, Bowser will always die in 5 turns. You can miss every timed hit and still kill him, but it's faster to get the timed hit. Anyway, as far as version differences go, the main difference has come in the stats. The Japanese version tends to have more expensive items and less powerful things, but the English version has more HP on bosses to make up for it, so it kinda evens out, but on a case-by-case basis it can lose or gain time depending on what it is. So I'm going to be collecting a lot of items throughout the game. This is to afford the mush badge towards the end of the run. And the mush badge is my main source of damage since I'm going to be skipping most of the game after Beam Bean Castletown. So I will be underleveled for most of it. And the mush badge in particular increases my minimum damage based on the number of mushrooms in my inventory, so the more items the better. see, another difference between the two versions, specifically with the mush badge, is that on the Japanese version it costs twice as much and it's half as powerful. So you'd think that I'd have to collect more items on the Japanese version because of that, but the end game behaves pretty differently, and it's kind of hard to explain because a lot of developments have happened in the English version recently. But for the longest time, the Japanese version was the fastest version by about half an hour until the sign glitch was discovered. I won't be using that glitch in this run because it's too risky to do for a marathon, but I will show that off as part of the glitch exhibition at the end of the run. And here's the most important part of any Superstar Saga run, is to have a silly picture to start with. I'm always afraid one of these days I'm going to forget to do it and get a PB with that. And then I'll have to live without a silly picture for a while. The beginning of the run is a little slow because of the intros and tutorials and stuff, but it ends up picking up later. After about the first 15 minutes is when it starts picking up, and then it just gets crazier and crazier as the run goes on. So because of the way the battle system works in this game, you can dodge every attack in the game. So it's theoretically possible to not take any damage at all. And there's no damage ranges when you attack. You're guaranteed to do the same amount of damage every time. So there's not that much variance in combat. Aside from enemy movement, and one tiny thing on the last fight, there isn't that much RNG to speak of that's meaningful to the game. So these level up bonuses, they are not random. You can time them to get what you want, though out of all the Mario and Luigi games, it is the hardest on this one. You have a 3-frame window to get what you want, and the number that you get is not when it's at the center of the indicator, but when it's just past it, so it can be a little tough to tell what you get. I haven't been able to get it that consistent, so it's kind of random, but kind of not. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. I've been learning partners in time recently, and the level up bonuses are so much easier to get on that game. And this guy here is the best character in the game by far. if you've never played one of these games in the series before, every enemy has a tell, which will indicate who they're attacking. And that's very important, especially for the later bosses in the game. Once I start skipping major sections in the game, any one hit can kill me, so I've had to practice those boss fights quite a bit to make sure I can get through them. Anyway, for anybody who hasn't seen a run of this before, the game plays out fairly normally as expected, at least for the first 50 minutes, and then all hell breaks loose. But I won't spoil exactly what happens. You'll just have to experience it for yourself. So I'm going to be taking hits on purpose during this fight, this minigame. There's a bunch of fireworks that go off at the end of it, and the amount of fireworks that I get depend on the number of lives I have left. So I want to leave Mario and Luigi with one each.
Hey, thanks to Worcester for the raid.
Oh, holy cow.
Got quite a few people in here.
Yeah, I see all the Kevin Turtles now. So that first enemy that I just dodged there, that's pretty much the only enemy I can run from in the game. If I get an encounter with anything else by accident, I have to finish the fight out. Because the coin route in this game is pretty tight, and I lose too much money if I run away from fights. So a lot of the time save, at least in the first half of the run, is avoiding encounters, and it can be pretty difficult in some spots. Anyway, this first section of the game, I just have to collect 100 coins and bring it back to him. I get to keep it afterwards, but I still got to go through the motions here. So those solitary question blocks actually have a specific timing that you need to hit them on to get the most coins out of it. If you end up mashing A, you'll get 4 coins less than what you need. So that's how that whole thing works. This game's pretty inconsistent with tutorials too. Some of them you can skip and some of them you can't. And this is one of the examples where you can't skip it. It's the spin jump and high jump tutorial. So on those questions, those yes or no questions, if I know that there's an answer coming up where I have to say no to, I can alternate mashing A and B, and it'll allow me to skip through the text quickly while still saying no to the question. And so it's a pretty useful technique. Whoops. So that little pause I had there during the Mario and Luigi block, the timing on those are also pretty precise. If it looks like I'm just kind of standing there for no reason, it's because I missed the timing on it. Luckily though, that is the second to last Mario, or third to last Mario and Luigi coin block I gotta do. So an interesting thing about this tutorial here, for the, you can unlock advanced versions of moves if you successfully do a bros attack a number of times. In the English version, this counts towards Mario's Splash Brothers, but in the Japanese version it doesn't. But the Japanese version makes up for that by having more bros points to start out with. I start out with 16 and 14 on Luigi and Mario. And on the English version I start with 10 each. These next three enemies I'm going to get an encounter with on purpose, assuming that they want to cooperate. So there's a couple of things that these fights serve a purpose to. One is to get coins for Tolstar and to get XP, and the other is to up Mario's Splash Brothers count. I want to have 20 of them by the time I get to Castle Town. That hit I ended up taking during that fight didn't matter at all. And Luigi rolled a 1. Luigi's power doesn't matter as much as Mario's does, but Luigi having high power can make up for Mario having low power. It really depends on the situation, though. If I can, it's actually ideal to take a hit during those fights. It saves maybe half a second to take a hit instead of to do the timed hit. Though in this case here, I need to deal free damage to them since I rolled a 1 on Luigi. If I got a 2 or 3, I could have just taken the hit. And I'm missing the timed hit there on purpose, because if Luigi got a critical hit, I wouldn't get that last Splash Brothers attempt that I needed. And got a 1, but that's okay. When I do attempts normally, the only reason I'd really reset for stats is if I rolled all ones across the board. There's backup strats I can take that don't waste that much time. Just a couple seconds, really. Alright, this fight's pretty straightforward. Just use Bro's attacks until he dies. And if he didn't laugh during that second attack, he would have started talking to me. Which, I see a number of people who are learning this game get caught by surprise on that. It's a couple seconds if you don't get the text mashing, but in a text-heavy game like this, it can add up pretty quickly. Alright, that was a pretty good Stardust Fields. And got a 3, I'm in good shape. I was just waiting for marathon luck to happen and roll all ones, and then I'd have to take an extra fight or two while going up Hoo Hoo Mountain. But luckily that is not the case. So the new item route on the Japanese version would involve me going pretty much up and down this entire area to grab every item. But recently it was discovered that I only need to buy one mush badge instead of one for each bro. As it turns out, for Bro's attacks, it's the bro who makes the connecting hit is whose power it's based off of. And the moves that I use at the end of the game all use Mario's attack stats, so upgrade Luigi's power at all. You might have saw I walked a little slow up the stairs. That's why I try to jump up them if possible. Because your walking speed when going upstairs is slower than your airspeed. When I get to the sewers in Castletown, you'll see that be more evident when I have to go up long stairs. It may seem like I'm going out of the way for some of these items, but they're absolutely necessary. The really old route for this game ended up using a coin farming method where you punch Luigi in the crotch. And while it was definitely a consistent way to get coins, it was really slow. But speaking of that really old route, the guy responsible for finding most of the glitches in this game is Mug. And Some people may know him for his TAS work. He did make a TAS of this game that's on YouTube. I highly recommend watching it. It's really cool. Based on what he does during the TAS, though, there's no way that a human time could get a TAS time, because a TAS can do like 40 to 50 hits a second with Chopper Bros, and I don't know a human alive that can match that quickly. Ooh, that was a interesting setup of enemies there.
Yeah, Cassisby brings up a good point in chat too, just to remind everybody that you can still donate to be eligible to win the grand prize at any point during the marathon. If you donate $25 or more, you will be entered to win the grand prize. There's actually two grand prizes. One of them is an AV Famicom set, and the other is a Hori N64 controller, which I know if you're a Mario runner, that's kind of the controller of choice. We have pictures of all the prizes too on the schedule, so you should check out the schedule if you haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
That AV Famicom is pretty cool. I have a NES top loader, but I can't stream from it because it's only RF out, and I haven't had the guts to mod it to do AV. So this minigame will have great importance much later in the run, but I'll explain that later when the time comes. So, funny little tidbit about this fight here. You can actually soft lock on this fight if you unlock an advance move on the same turn that you hit the stone pillar where Huhurus is hiding. And funnily enough, Almo did that on his first casual playthrough of this game by accident. And I didn't even know that could happen at the time, so it was pretty funny to see. Mario's power's in a good spot, so I can do this in 4 turns, which is the ideal situation. If Mario's power was too low, I would have had to spend an extra turn. It's more of a big deal for the English version to do it in 4 turns, but I'll explain why when I get to the next boss fight. Luigi, you're killing me.
Yeah, Dan Timms asks how long the marathon has been running, and it's been running for about half a day now. It was incredible how fast we reached our goal. It's just, I still can't believe that we did it that quickly.
Well, don't underestimate the generosity of speedrunners.
And yourself included in that. That was very generous of you.
This room used to be a huge pain in the ass when I was learning this game because of that dry bones right there. If you get an encounter with that dry bones, you lose the water that you have, so not only do you have to kill the dry bones, you have to spend another 45 seconds getting the water, so it really sucks. But I discovered if you hug the wall up there, the dry bones won't attack you, so it's often better in this game to wait for the enemy to get into an ideal position instead of just blaring past it, because you will 9 times out of 10 get screwed over and end up wasting a minute trying to save a second. Oof, almost fell off there. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the goal to get hit today. I was thinking like sometime tomorrow.
We were just hoping, you know, if we hit it at all, we'll be happy, and then it just took off from the start. It was crazy, so that was awesome. It got to the point where we were just like, this, you know, we were making guesses like which game is it going to be, and it seemed unreal. Like we're pointing at different parts of the schedule. Like, yeah, it's really going to be today. That's crazy. So, I also want to mention big thanks to everybody who's staying up with us, because we're hitting somewhere around, it looks like 5,000 viewers now. So that's awesome. Welcome everybody.
So I had a pretty good mountain there too. No encounters at all so far. And this fight's pretty straightforward, just like Tolstar, just use Bro's attacks until it dies. Luigi might not be able to carry here. Nope. Ideally, I want to do 20 damage a turn to win in 4 turns. But that doesn't look like it's going to happen in this run. So anyway, I mentioned earlier that completing the previous boss in 4 turns mattered more for the English version. And the reason for that is that if you kill Dragohoho on the same turn, you get an advance unlocked just like that. You end up saving some time because the animations trigger at the same time. But in the Japanese version, they will wait one after the other. Doesn't matter in this fight though, since it's going to take 5 turns anyway. Alright, good mountain overall. And I'm nailing Mario's power here, but Luigi, on the other hand, I would like to cooperate. And he gets a 1, too.
Hey, we got a $1.01 donation from the Civil Yoshi with no message. That brings our current donation total to $6,869.69. A fine donation total.
And now we're just waiting on the $100 donation. The NPCs in this village have been nice to me today, too. They can sometimes put themselves in positions that make it hard to get around them without talking to them by accident. So another interesting thing to note about the two versions is they both actually have glitches that are exclusive to each other. One of them is used pretty extensively during the Japanese run, and the one on the English version doesn't serve any purpose, except for soft walking for fun. Now I get to play the minecart minigame. This is a lovely little auto-scroller where I gotta collect 10 gems. And it's actually possible to fail the minigame if I hit both the rocks that fall. And since the minecarts move at variable speeds, they'll just slow down and speed up randomly. So depending on when it slows down, it can be kind of a tight timing to jump over the rock. Haven't failed it yet though, but my chat keeps saying that one of these days I'm going to fail it and it's going to be like during a big marathon or something. But since I jumped over the first rock, it's impossible for me to fail now, so crisis averted. And if we get any more donations during this time, this would be a perfect time for it. Alright, the number of tutorials that are left in the game are winding down. This is one of the last ones that we'll need to go through. Luckily, it is pretty short. So this next section of the game is the Castletown sewers, and it's probably one of the most difficult sections aside from the Dry Bones room in Teehee Valley to avoid encounters. I've had a number of runs lose like minutes at a time throughout the sewers just because I run into a single enemy. Every enemy in the game, for the most part, has a set amount of enemies that you'll encounter, and typically the enemies that you see in the beginning of areas will have less than the end of it. So if I get an encounter in like the first room or something, it's usually not that big of a deal. And if I get overleveled by accident, having higher power can make some of the later boss fights go by a little bit faster, so you don't lose as much time as you normally would.
So, Altabiscuit, I want to ask you a question. I don't want to do it to like put pressure on you or make you nervous. I have a point I want to make here.
Yes.
So, on your typical streams, what is like your typical viewer count?
Tends to vary between 40 and 100.
Okay, okay. So, how many of the 5,000 people watching right now are about to have their minds blown?
I'm expecting the chat to explode once the glitches start happening.
I'm pretty excited about it personally. I think it's gonna confuse a lot of people.
If you haven't seen it before, it's an experience.
Is it safe to say that the glitches, like that are getting discovered in this game, they're probably some of the more interesting Mario, or not just Mario, but RPG glitches in general?
I really haven't seen many like them, to be honest. But then again, I am not as familiar with the RPG speedrunning community, so
yeah,
someone would probably correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's a safe bet. I think this guy's got to get excited about this.
A lot of people compare this game to Ocarina of Time with how glitchy it is in the second half. The only thing I would point out in contention to that is that the first half of the run is not glitchy at all. But the second half, absolutely. Oh! Well, it was a good run without getting an encounter up to this point. I was expecting to have at least one or two by now, so the fact that this is my first one is actually pretty good. And that one is the hardest enemy to dodge anyway, so I'm not surprised that I got hit by it.
So how many encounters would you say you typically get that are unexpected?
In a run that I would keep, normally I wouldn't want to get any more than one.
Okay.
But it depends on which ones it is. If it's like early area encounters, then it's not that big of a deal.
Sure.
But if it's late area encounters, then it's like minutes at a time. I just realized that email notifications are still on and my phone is just exploding right now.
You're gonna have a lot to delete.
Yeah. So, I had to get 20 Splash Brothers attempts for this fight in particular. Mario's advanced version actually does less damage, but it does double damage to spiked enemies. And the normal way you fight this boss is to attack both her arms so the crown falls off, but the crown makes her a spiked enemy. So it makes this fight go by a lot faster to use Splash Advance. Ideally, it will be 4 turns, and Mario's power's high, so I have no doubt it'll be 4. Yep. I want to do at least 24, and I'm doing more than enough.
Nice. Alright, so it was inevitable. It happened. We received a $100 donation from Iceplug. However, we received it after we received a $10 donation from Ahuganash. So, unfortunately, Iceplug, if we're being honest here, if we're being fair, it never really hit the number you wanted. But we got $10 from Ahuganash, who says, "Loving the runs, best of luck to Altabiscuit in the rest of his Superstar run." And we have 100 from Iceplug. It says, "You all are freaking children for liking the number 69 so much. I mean, 96 is a much better number, so throw me a freaking bone here."
Iceplug got sniped.
Thanks for the donations, guys.
So at level 7, I upgrade the stash stat for Mario and Luigi. And that's essentially the luck stat in this game. It increases your chance at critical hits. Whoops. And that that aspect of it is worthless because you can't get crits on bros attacks, and that's what I use for pretty much the entire game. But it also increases your selling price and decreases your buy price, which will decrease the prices of mushrooms by a whole 1 coin, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I end up buying like 40 or 50 of them by the end of the run, so that adds up pretty quickly. But here's another tutorial on how to equip a badge. Luckily I get a free badge out of it, so it's hard to complain about it. Okay, so there's only one boss left before the glitchy stuff happens. And that will be Popple and Rookie, which most people will remind me that it is the best track in the game, which I'm inclined to agree that it's very good. I'll need that pipe for later, shortly after I get what I want in the forest. That Parabini sometimes goes after me when I cross that gap, but luckily that was not the case.
We have a $31.31 donation from Yomi Nomi. Breaking the 7K and breaking the counter. Enjoy, chat. Thank you very much.
Just couldn't leave it at
No, that had to go.
at the cents.
He's breaking it up. That's awesome. We crossed 7,000.
I think you might go for 10K.
It's very possible at this point.
That would be pretty cool. As a chat might be alluding to, the barrels are kind of foreshadowing to what's about to happen.
Yeah, this is the here we go moment. Everybody knows. They just gotta wait.
I'm actually gonna save time on this fight because Mario's power is ridiculous. Normally I have a goal of 30 damage a turn, but I'm doing 40 because I had that extra encounter. So I will complete it in 3 turns. One little side note about this fight. English version is faster on this fight because Bowser does less attacks. And I'll just take a hit on purpose here. Because I can, and because it's slightly faster. So here's a room that a lot of people say that they didn't know about on their casual playthrough. There's about 80 coins worth of stuff up here though, so it's very much worth to come up here. Alright, one more tutorial left. And then the crazy stuff happens.
Oh yeah.
To answer that question in the chat, the bros actually do have slightly different voice lines in the Japanese version, though Charles Martinet voiced it all for both versions.
I can tell the chat's pretty excited.
Alright, there's a small trick coming up here called a pest nut jump. It has about a 25% chance of failing, depending on if he decides to run into me or not. And he landed exactly where I wanted to. He landed in between Mario and Luigi, which is a very tight space. And there's a chance that he'll just roll into Luigi, and there's nothing I can do about it. So this next trick coming up is what I just aptly named called the barrel glitch. And it's a frame-perfect trick on a 60 FPS game, so if I fail it a couple times, that is why. And if I do it right, you'll see Mario hop onto Luigi as a barrel, or Luigi will turn into a barrel. There we go, 3 tries is pretty good. So what that did is stored the barrel commands on Mario and Luigi, even though I don't have a barrel. So I can summon barrels out of midair and then just start clipping through walls because it's different from the regular barrel. And the chat's beginning already. Interesting thing to note about this barrel glitch, if I get an encounter, I lose my storage and I have to go back and get it. So this room in particular can be a little annoying depending on where enemies spawn, and yeah.
Uh-oh.
It happens sometimes. At least the second time around, that guy won't be there, so I can just run right past him.
Yeah, that's at least good. If they kept respawning, that'd be annoying.
Yeah. So that'll lose a couple minutes. As far as my estimate goes, it could be as low as like an hour and a half, but it could also be much longer, and it's the tricks in the second half of the run that really determine that, because there is major soft lock dangers at especially with the last 2 tricks. So that's why I give myself an estimate there, is just in case I do mess it up. Okay, got it in a second try, so that's not too bad. In a run, ideally, I do it in 3 tries or less, though I've sometimes had it be uncooperative as hell and take about 15 to 20 tries. Anyway, the purpose of all this here is I'm going to be going to Oho Oasis early. And for those of you who have played through this game, you'll remember that place as the place you go after you defeat Cackletta at the University. So this skip alone saves about an hour.
1 hour off of a skip.
My PB for glitchless is 3 hours and 47 minutes. And for regular any percent, it's at least on the Japanese version, it's 128, and on English, it's 127. So that's the kind of time saves we're talking about here.
It's crazy to me that this game is under 90 minutes now.
Oh yeah, I was on and I can get it down to 122. I had a run that was on an amazing pace, and I screwed up the very last trick that I never screwed up. So, but it makes it still mind-blowing to me, because at one point I didn't even think I could get sub 135 in this game. But then things keep getting discovered. Anyway, the barrel glitch there was just the tip of the iceberg here. There is a lot more to happen shortly after I get Firebrand here. And Firebrand is the reason why this game is so broken. If you'll remember, on a casual playthrough, Luigi gets the Thunder Hand ability. I'm not going to bother with that. Anyway, the weirdness is going to begin as soon as I reunite Mario and Luigi, so that's when the hype train's going to start. So, to note, this is not actually the route I take for any percent anymore. It's just a safer... It's a variant on the old route that I used to use, but... It's just a safer strat, because if I do soft lock, then I don't... I only spend like an extra couple minutes instead of like up to 5 minutes, and it just kind of slows down the pace of the run. Anyway, here we go.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, this guy's not cooperating with me.
Now I understand why Worcester rated this stream.
I'll explain what happened there in just a second. I need to get into this fight first. So
just so people are clear, the game is still going.
Yes. No need to adjust your stream. Oh good, I got the first turn kill. I'm death warping here on purpose, by the way. Except I got the slow pattern. The really slow one. Anyway, when Small Mario is equipped with Firebrand in the back, the game freaks out because it doesn't know how to handle it. So, while the game is freaking out like that, you can manipulate the action commands into anything you want. And I use it to get barrel hop back on Mario. This is a better barrel hop because it allows me to keep the barrel command even through encounters, and on top of that, it allows me to manipulate the action commands whenever I want, so it's really nice.
You mentioned OOT earlier. You're really starting to live up to that now, yeah.
Yeah.
Just giving yourself whatever you want.
Anyway, I could technically go trigger the fight that triggers endgame, but I need to go to Funky Town first to buy the Mush Badge, because that is the source of all of my damage. And with barrel clipping again, I can just kind of go wherever I want. For the most part. Barrel clipping does not work vertically if the thing I'm trying to clip through is more than a block thick. Whoops. This is an item that the English version cannot pick up because barrel clipping does not work on the English version. Interesting thing to note about those jump pads, the game will soft lock if I jump on them because it expects there to only be Luigi here for this part. In fact, the game acts pretty strangely when you're in a lot of places where it only expects one of them to be there. And I will show you some of the weirder things that can happen during the glitch demonstration. Anyway, I need to focus on audio cues for this trick here, so I'll explain it when I'm done doing it.
I love this game. So for reference, you know, obviously it's still a ways off, but what? Hold on, I'll let this play out.
All right, I can talk now.
Okay. So just for reference, like obviously you're going to be really under-leveled compared to a typical player of the game at this point. So like, what would an average player's playthrough, what would their level be when they reach the end of the game versus what are you expecting when you get there?
On my first playthrough, I was level 40 or so.
Okay.
But in a speed run, I'm level 11.
11. It's a little bit lower.
Just a little. Anyway, to explain what just happened before there, as I mentioned earlier, you can't barrel clip vertically through walls that are more than a block thick. So to get around that, I can use a technique that I call hat teleporting. And that is done by using the action command glitch to high jump on Luigi when he's underground. And when you do that, it gives them glitchy movement properties, which you can use to teleport. But it's a pretty dangerous trick, because if you don't do it right, you can get stuck on a wall and it's run over. Though I took a safety save before then, oh my god. So if I did end up failing that, then I could just revert back to that save. Alright, good mushroom count. Oh my god. This shopkeeper is destroying me.
Can I give a shout out to Gino?
Yes. Who is not seen in the speedrun, unfortunately.
That's okay. We know he's there.
The credits do mention that he exists in this game, as he is owned by Square Enix. And I think that is the last game we have seen him in, actually, this one. So what I'm about to do is not something I would do in a typical any percent run, but it's for marathon safety. I'll pick up the super hammers, and that allows me to do a safety save in Tiki Valley. That would not be an option otherwise. Then again, if I was doing a regular run, I would not be saving anyway. So that's a moot point, but for this, I need it. I need to kill this guy off real quick before I get the super hammers, otherwise he'll just get in the way. So now's a good time to mention that all other stats except for BP are irrelevant at this point. So that's all I'm going to level up for it at this point. My power is determined entirely by the mush badge once I equip it. I would normally need Thunder Hand to get in here, but since I have the magical barrel, I don't need to. My chat sometimes makes the joke that this game is a real speed game because it has RBA as well, or the reverse barrel adventure.
We are nearing 6,000 viewers right now. It continues to rise as we head later and later into the evening. This is our highest viewer count so far.
Oh my god. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's insane. I think that's the most I've ever had watching me before.
That's pretty cool. They're here for the barrels.
So this part of the speedrun is unfortunately a farming section. I need to farm Knockback Brothers off of these Sharpies here that the Lakpi is going to toss at me. The advanced version of this move is an infinite combo, which I use to kill Cackletta at the end of the game. The English version doesn't have to do it anymore because a new strat was found to avoid doing it, though the downside to that is it leaves the final fight up to RNG a little bit in an otherwise RNG free game for the most part. And I'll be doing this until I've done it 28 times, and I'll know when I'm done once I've used all my syrups and Luigi is out of bros points. So another good time for donations if we have any coming in.
I will take a quick look here. Okay, we do have some donations. We have $1.69 from the Civilized Yoshi, who says, "The immaturity will never die."
Of course it won't.
We have $1.69 from Olithi T. "Have fun, all respect for Cosmo and his decisions on life." And $1.31 from Anonymous with no comment. Thanks everybody for the donations. Just a reminder of an upcoming incentive, too, since we haven't really plugged anything recently. And in just a couple of hours, we're going to be seeing Return of the Jedi, and that's run by Edenall. And he's currently scheduled to play on easy difficulty, but if you'd like to force a challenge upon him, there's an incentive to make him play on Jedi difficulty instead. And for that to happen, we need to raise $100. And we currently don't have any dollars for that incentive, so if you would like to see that played on Jedi difficulty, you need to get those donations in and mention it in your comment.
Got to use a syrup there, but it's not that huge of a deal.
Thanks, Jackifer, for the congratulations. Thank you for kicking the marathon off on a high note.
Yeah, by all means, this is a good time to do plugs, because after this point there's going to be serious time scattered about.
Well, I guess we can kind of just explain. I guess it's been a while since we said what the marathon is for people who might be jumping in for the first time. So, the JRTA marathon was an idea that kind of came about as the result of us wanting to have Japanese runners go to Games Done Quick events because they've never been represented at the GDQs. So we got into contact, myself and a few others, with different Japanese runners just to see who wanted to take part in something like this. And we convinced Ohan, Oxwis, and Hanage to come on over to HDQ in January. And you guys already met the incentive. It met the donation amount. We raised enough money to bring all three of them. So that's really cool. Additional money that we raise for the rest of this weekend will be going to Doctors Without Borders, because we don't want to raise any more money for ourselves than is necessary to bring these guys over. So your money is going to a good cause now, but we have already met the required amount of money to bring the Japanese runners to HDQ, so that's really cool. And you'll see we've already had a few showcases from those guys earlier in the marathon, but they will be back later in the marathon. Ohan actually making a couple of appearances. That should be pretty good. And Ox was playing Galgun against Simmons. I know you guys are hyped for Galgun. Probably get booted off Twitch for being too lewd.
The Castlevania 4 race was pretty awesome. I've been keeping up with that game for most of the year and watching their weekly races, and they're all very good. I'm looking forward to that for AGDQ for sure. Alright, almost done farming here. And I need to remember to equip the mush badge. I've actually had a few runs end because I forgot to do it. If I have it equipped during that fight, I do too much damage and then I can't get the farming that I need. So in a normal any percent run, I would just clip through that rock, but since I have super hammers, I can just break it and then use this save book here. Okay, so this is the next major skip in the run, and it's saves probably about an hour as well, maybe a little longer than that. And it's a similar trick to how I did it in Fungi Town to get there early, so I'm going to go silent while I do that for audio cues. So an unfortunate thing that can happen on the console compared to emulator is that action commands can skip sometimes when I'm mashing L. It'll just sometimes skip one, and the one I wanted got skipped. So I had to cycle through all 256 IDs again. It's a good thing I caught it though, because if I didn't, I would have had to reset and lose a few minutes to a soft lock. Almost had that. This teleport's a little more difficult than the Fungi Town one. It was a little too far down there. That should do it, yep. It's all about camera manipulation there. So this is the notorious Dry Bones room that's coming up. It has a tendency to end runs. So we'll see what happens. And luckily I got the good pattern, so I didn't have to do much backtracking. I've been getting very nice patterns with that lately. I'll take another safety save here. By the way, if you enter this room with Luigi leading, the game soft locks. And it's because you're only supposed to have Mario at this point. And Luigi somehow managed to get himself tied up, so I'm gonna free him.
Mario, Luigi.
So this is where being low level becomes dangerous, because any one hit will knock me out. I've got a few one-up shrooms to just in case, but it is hard to defend with just one bro because the timing is really weird.
Let's go.
And there you can see the power of the Mush Badge. Even though my minimum damage is only increased by 5, you can see how powerful it is with multi-hit attacks. And the first egg cycle. Ideally, I get through this fight with only one egg cycle, and as long as I keep my Chopper Brothers mashing at a good rate, it should be no problem. Ooh, bad luck. Those eggs are... I have not been able to figure out a tell for which one that he's in. I have done many tests on an emulator and nothing seems to be consistent. I have a 3 in 4 chance of finding him with that technique, but every now and then I'll lose a little bit of time from that. Very good fight. So I got through all the major parts without having to reset the game, which is very important. It saves an extra 3 or 4 minutes. So if you recall earlier in the run, I mentioned that the soul collecting game on Hoo-Hoo Mountain served a purpose, and it's for the next upcoming skip. Skipping Bowser's Castle is what that is, and I do that by going through the escape route. But when you are on the escape route normally, there's a timer going, and when it runs out, you game over. And if you enter that area without a timer going, it just instantly games over because it thinks the timer is 0. But the Hoo-Hoo Mountain minigame is still actually running in the background, so it satisfies the need for a timer event going, and if I reset the game, it wipes it out. And soft locks would be a reason to reset the game. And the backup for that is a surfing minigame out in the middle of the ocean, which takes like 4 or 5 minutes to get to. So soft locking can waste up to 10 minutes because you have to redo the section and you failed, and you have to go play the surfing minigame on top of that. But luckily that didn't happen. And the English version does not have the luxury of that backup strat because it requires barrel clipping. And it's for that reason alone that the English version is not marathon safe.
Interesting. Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, there's actually, I just hit refresh and there's a second one, but first one is $20 from the Harry Gamer. I am just tuning in and want to show my love. Amazing playthrough. Excited for Pokemon. This is an amazing night. Everyone in here rocks. Thanks for the donation. And $9.33 from Murray, who says, make Edenall play Jedi. So I'll put that towards that incentive. Thank you.
So, interesting thing about that invisible wall. Part of the town still thinks I'm doing the forest game, or the forest mission. So the wall is still there, even though the trigger for Popple and Birdo removes the visual part of the wall. And if you're wondering how Endgame got triggered, it was by defeating Popple and Birdo, because that is the absolute last boss you fight before you go to Bowser's Castle. It would be the one that you fight after Joke's End, which is one of the final areas in the game. So we have just skipped over 2 hours. And I'm about to skip another 20 minutes because of Bowser's Castle skip. Wow. Okay. I actually could have ran away from that if I wanted because I don't need money anymore. But it actually would have been faster to just kill them like I just did there because they're so weak. My goal for the number of mushrooms is 85, and since I had an extra encounter and rolled really well on stash, I have 2 extra. But 85 is the magic number for what I need for Cackletta.
We got a donation of $1.67 from a cat, whose comment says 69. Thank you for that donation.
If I did not have a timer event going here, this Bowser's Castle would have blown up and I would have gotten the red screen of death. Alright, I'm going to take my last safety save here. Hopefully it won't be necessary, because I save about 10 seconds if I keep my barrel storage, which is removed after reloading the game. Because by default, the burrows start with just their jump icons. So I'm gonna call for serious time here during this entire fight.
I'm muting my mic right now.
Let's go.
Whoops. Little point of note for any percent runs in this game. The number of times she heals can waste a little bit of time, but it's only if she goes overboard with it. Alright, that was a pretty good Bowletta fight. She healed a bit, but I don't really care how many times she heals during a marathon. It only really matters when I'm trying to PB and the marathon route can't PB. It's not in my control anyway, so can't really complain too much about it. It should give me advance. Yep. So I'm gonna need 80 hits in one turn to kill Cackletta when her heart becomes open. Her heart stays open for 2 turns. But as a precaution, I'm gonna syrup up first. crap. Okay, good, it wasn't the orbs. Thank you for not doing the orbs. I got 61 hits there. Got it. Got it first try.
Nice.
Oh, that was like the one thing I didn't want to do was to die on Cacletta. No. Time happens a little bit later. I still have to escape, and time is when Prince Peasley's last text box disappears. I'll let you know when that is. So since the glitch exhibition was met, I want to show something that I discovered on accident after one of my runs. And luckily it was not on a PB pace, because I would have been pretty salty about that.
Okie dokie.
Anyway, if you hit this door, it triggers the opening cutscene for the castle, even though the timer's still running, and I just defeated her.
What?
And that, like I said, I did that completely by accident once, and, you know, if I was on pace to PB, I would have been pretty unhappy about that.
It just replays it like you're visiting for the first time.
Yep. You can't go through the door after that, though. Oh, but, you know, why would you want to? Alright, time is coming up soon. I'll let you know when to hit it. And time. Holy crap.
Hey, that's
That's a great marathon time.
really cool.
If I didn't make that one mistake with the barrel, it could have been 133, but I'll definitely take 135.
Sick, man. Thanks for the run.
So, I've got a glitch exhibition to do. But do we want to listen to credits or just go straight to that?
If you want to go ahead and go right to it, go for it.
Alright. Let's see, do I have the right cart? I don't, actually. I need to swap carts real quick. I have 2 Japanese cartridges of this game, because I thought one of mine was bad, and it turned out to be the Game Boy player instead. But now I've got 3 extra save files, so that's kind of nice, I guess. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show here is the sign glitch. This is the glitch that I didn't do for safety reasons, but it allows me to get the action command glitch early. And I need to get the barrel glitch real quick to show it off. Assuming it wants to cooperate. If it doesn't want to cooperate, I'll just move on. Alright, couple more attempts. Okay, one more try, and then I'm just going to reset to the other file so I can do the other. And it doesn't want to cooperate right now. That's unfortunate. But the sign glitch basically replaces your action command with a sign, an exclamation mark. And when you do that, you can give Luigi spin jump, which he isn't supposed to have. And that allows you to get Firebrand early. And that's how the English version caught up. I'm just gonna get myself killed here so I can get to the overworld.
Let's go.
Alright, there we go. Okay, so first thing I want to show off is the double Luigi glitch. That I can't talk right now. The sign glitch has this as an after effect too, but I still need to show it off. It's not wanting to cooperate either. This is annoying. There we go. Alright. Got what I wanted, just need to rejoin these two. Okay, so that's a neat little animation glitch where you have two Luigi's on the screen. The sign glitch has this side effect too. That's how you punch Luigi in the crotch to get coins, by the way. I was doing that. It's just an animation glitch though, because if I use Mario and any of his normal moves, it will return them back to normal. Wait, I need the barrel again. So there's a number of other animation glitches that happen when you enter cutscenes with a barrel, and I will do that here as soon as I get it back. And after this one, there are two other glitches that I want to show off, and then we can pass it off to the next person. Anyway, here's the cutscene here. And you can see Luigi has an interesting color palette now.
Oh, whoa.
He'll keep that color palette until you exit the screen. Even if I use actions, he will still keep the color. So I can bust him out of the fake barrel there, and he's still the weird color.
Got Smurf Luigi there.
Yes. This is a glitch that this upcoming one is a glitch that I encountered during this category I call all bosses, which is just kind of a thing I do for fun. It's not really serious. But it's mostly intended to show off a lot of the glitches you wouldn't normally see in any percent. And this is one of them that's coming up. And this shows some of the weirder things that can happen when you enter cutscenes or areas that are only designed for one bro. If you'll recall, at least at this point in the game, you have to get that crabby grass to revive Mario from eating that bad mushroom from the minigame that Gino shows up in. So anyway, it's supposed to be just Luigi going up here. Now the weirdness won't start happening until I move to the next screen.
Wow. Oh yeah.
So Luigi kind of disappeared there. And now the cutscene's going to play out without either of them there. And when I first did this, I was afraid that the game soft locked, but you'll find out why it doesn't in a second. Also, that text bubble is accurate, by the way, where it was pointing from. That is where Luigi ended up hiding. Yeah, they were just hiding up there the whole time. Oh, I guess I have to go through the rest of this. It's fine, I want to go back to Castletown anyway to show off one last thing. And then just this cutscene. So the next glitch I'm going to show off brings the meaning of why Luigi is referred to as Green Mario sometimes in other games. Or actually, no, it's the other way around. Maybe it's Red Luigi instead. It's been a while since I've done the glitch. Yeah, it'll be Red Luigi. You'll find out why in a sec. Stop talking so I can keep going. Come on. There we go. So this cave up here is only accessible by Luigi by normal means. So it still expects you to be Luigi, and when you get hit by these, it produces interesting results. It also teleports you right back to where Luigi is once you respawn. Yeah, it's all Luigi stuff on Mario.
Huh.
And I'm gonna end this by soft locking the game because that's pretty fitting for how this game ends. And this pipe only expects there to be one, and it doesn't know what to do with the second one, so Luigi just sits there walking in place forever.
Wonderful.
Alright, well that's all I've got. Thanks for having me. That was a pretty good run.
Yeah, thanks so much, man.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing.
And good luck to everybody else.
All right, guys, be sure to give Altabiscuit a follow. And we'll set up for the Pokemon block coming up next.
Yeah, Prinny is using the same stream that Altabiscuit was, so it'll probably take just a second for his stream to come up.
All right. Yeah, we had a little overlap because things got moved around.
Prior's on 3, is that right?